Hello everyone and welcome back. Today what I want to focus on is the mirror theory. It's one of the most challenging yet most powerful communication models that I use, but it's also one of the hardest for my clients to get their head around, and it's one that I use every single day. And this is what I'm going to be focusing on, is the mirror theory in the context of relationships. And that's relationships to ourselves, to others, to food, but even to money as well. So everything in our life is relational. Have you ever wondered what happens when you connect with another person and then after some time you start seeing aspects of their personality that you don't like? So what we start seeing in others are merely reflections or projections of aspects of our own personality that we don't like. Now, I really am simplifying this theory, but in essence, what we see in others, we see in ourselves, or in other words, what we see in others already exists within us, and they're merely projecting back to us who we are. And it's just like when we look in the mirror and there's parts of our body or our appearance that we don't like. There's also aspects or parts of our personality that we might not see or don't want to accept. So the things that we dislike the most in other people are inside of us first. I'm going to say that again because this is the part where people don't quite gel with. What we dislike in others is also what we dislike about ourselves. And in the same way, though, on the flip side of that same coin, what we like in us, we see in others and we like in them as well. It's just like the Namaste prayer that says, I see and recognize the God within you because that same God is within me. Okay? So relationships, regardless of what type of relationship that is, will always show us what we have inside of us. So people and the outside world act like mirrors reflecting back to us and giving us a chance to see who we really are. And the mirror can actually act in a direct or an inverse way. Let's just look at this from an example. So let's just say you have a friend that you think is quite selfish, and that's your projection onto them. So in a direct way, you may be projecting the selfish part of you that you refuse to see. But on the other hand, in an inverse way, they might be reflecting back to you how selfless you are. Maybe you're always caring about other people too much, forgetting about looking after yourself. So either way, this is a really valuable piece of information if you want to get to know yourself better and to grow personally. So emotional wounds, we all have them. We all have them. And they're the emotions, the feelings, the thoughts, and the ways of acting that come from painful moments in our lives that we haven't accepted and we haven't dealt with yet. And these emotional wounds will always play out as patterns in our lives or narratives as well. It's what we tell ourselves over and over and over again. So speaking from a personal point of view, I am quite direct, but a lot of people can take offense to that. And I have been in conversations in the past where I can give my opinion and the other person will often say to me, yep, right on, I agree with you. Or more often than not, they'll say, I'm so offended by what you just said. And that used to really offend me because I wanted everybody to like me. But now I stand back when somebody is offended by what I say. I'll stand back and look at it objectively from the outside. And I'll think to myself, why are you offended? Where's the wound in you that needs to be healed? If I know that person really well, I will actually say that to them. So when we forget our wounds, when we try to bury them, when we try to not deal with them, and most of my clients fall into this category, hands up, so do I. These forgotten wounds become part of our unconscious mind and influence our thoughts. influence our moods, and will influence our behavior. So if these wounds go untreated or unhealed, they will start to affect you. They will start to hurt your relationships. If you don't figure them out and pay attention to what they're trying to tell you, then nothing is going to change. But on the flip side of this, on the positive aspect of the mirror theory, it will also show you how far you have come and how you've healed the old wounds. Just as an example, I do have a client that I've been working with for some time, and she would attract men into her world that needed to be healed, that always had deep wounds. And her thought pattern was always, I need to help them, I need to heal them, I need to have them like me. But this was always to her detriment. So in our last session, when I asked her for an update, because we have been talking about the mirror theory in our last session, she told me that she did meet a person who fit the old pattern of her life, but instead of going back to her normal way of being, she recognized that old pattern but addressed it. And she didn't go down that narrative that she would go down previously. But in her mind, she said, not my monkey, not my circus, and left it. I love that saying, not my monkey, not my circus. So again, going back to the personal aspect, speaking from a personal point of view, I tend to trigger a lot of people. Now, I don't mean to, it just happens that way. And when you first meet me, I know that you're either going to love me or not. There's no middle ground. It just is what it is, and I'm okay with that. But when someone loses their shit at me, which has happened quite regularly in the past, my old pattern, my old way of being was to crumble and just literally go inside and give myself a really harsh talking to for not for a couple of minutes, but for quite some time. And I would do everything in my power to change their mind and to fix that situation because I needed to be liked. But now I realize that when people flare up at me, it's got nothing to do with me. I was just a mirror reflecting back to them their undealt wounds or their unhealed wounds. So when you talk about the mirror theory, there's two sides to this. It can show you what still needs to be healed, but it can also show you how far you've come on this path of experience. So just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind next time someone flares up at you. Okay, just pay attention to what's actually going on around you and in your world, and put the mirror theory to the test. Put it into practice. And this is going to help you grow so much and develop that emotional intelligence that is so vital for you. Okay, until next time, I'll see you later.